Year of Yes is a no for me. Hey guys, welcome back to Book Talk with Meg. Happy New Year! I hope you guys are doing well. I wish you all a very happy and healthy year and a year filled with reading, obviously. Since 2019 came around, I've kind of had this urge to cleanse my bookshelves because a lot of new releases are coming out this year, and just I wanted to purge my space a little bit because some books I own I will never reread, I really didn't like, or just don't care for anymore. So obviously you've seen by the title, we are going to do a major unhaul today. I do have a few boxes on the floor. I'm not going to go through why I'm getting rid of every one of them and the premise of every book because there's so many. So without further ado, let's hop on in. So I'm literally grabbing everything just out of the pile because I've never seen so many books on my floor before. It's so satisfying to cleanse your bookshelves. So the first two I see are both graphic novels, both Paper Girls Volume 1 and Saga Volume 1. I read both of these graphic novels and I really did not like either of them, so probably someone else will like them more than I do. Two other books in a series I'm getting rid of are the Shannara Chronicles by Terry Brooks. These are both part of the series. I got them at a thrift store and I'm actually not sure of the order, but I'm pretty sure I'm missing the first one and I'm never gonna pick it up, so I decided just to unhaul them. I also have Lucifer book 5, which this was sent to me by mistake by Indigo, so I don't have books 1 through 4 and I don't really care for the story, so it's going. I have this edition of Strange the Dreamer. This was sent to me by Book Depository, and this is not the copy I ordered, and I really don't like this cover. I have the hardcover of Strange the Dreamer now, so this again is going away. We also have mass market paperbacks for Mary Higgin Clark, All Dressed in White, which is part of the Under Suspicions novel. I am collecting them in hardcover. Again, Book Depository is sort of a scam when it comes to this because you order a cover and sometimes something else comes in the mail. Same with Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice. I don't do mass market paperbacks because I have glasses when I read and really small fonts make me go cross-eyed, so I'm trying to avoid that, you know? I also have the entire Burn for Burn trilogy by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian. This, I bought these on Book Outlet a few years ago, and the more I heard people talk about it, the less it is what I expected. There's like paranormal elements in this, and I am not one to like paranormal stuff in like my contemporary books, so I think someone else will enjoy this as much more than I do. And again, this was more of a miss for me, so yeah, giving those away. We also have a classic, The Swiss Family Robinson by Joanne David Wyss. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I got this because I tried to get into classics, but again, the writing for this is very problematic for me, and I don't feel like I connect to the plot of this book, and if I'm going to try to read classics, I probably want to start somewhere else than this. We have this hardcover edition of An Ember in the Ashes by Sabata here. The reason I'm unhauling this is because I have the new paperback editions, which I honestly prefer to these hardcovers, and obviously the third one has a cover change, so I wouldn't be able to collect them all in the same edition anyways, so I think someone else might want to pick this up for cheap and enjoy it at my local thrift store. We have another thrift store book, which this is like a, kind of like a Western romance, which I think I enjoy, but I have a hard time getting to adult romances. I really much prefer YA as of now, YA or NA, but adult romances for me when it comes to like divorces and children, I'm still having a really hard time enjoying that genre. So again, I tried this out, wasn't working for me. Another thrift store book that is part of a series, and I never found the other books, is Oathbringer's Assassin's Apprentice by S.R. Vaught and J.B. Redman. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this. This is like a fantasy book, but I didn't want to pay full price for the books, and I can't seem to find the other ones, so I'm giving up, basically. Another mass market paperback is, it's like a NASCAR romance. Again, mass market, I can't say that word. Mass market paperbacks are just not my thing. I don't want to collect them. I don't want them on my shelf, so once I'm done reading them, they can move on. I also have Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I just could not get into this book. Maybe an unpopular opinion. I know this is an older book, but I have no love for this book, so I don't want to keep it. Two other books that I'm actually upset about giving away are A Curious Beginning and A Curious Undertaking. They're both part of the Veronica Speedwell mysteries by Dina Rayborn. This was actually pitched to me that they were similar to Stalking Jack the Ripper. I was 100 pages through this book and I hated the main character, I hated the plot, and I could not see for the life of me the resemblance to Stalking Jack the Ripper. Maybe it's because I went into this expecting something that this book is not, but I am not enjoying these at all. Fortunately enough, I got them for like $3 on Book Outlet, but I was disappointed because I was looking forward to finding more stories that are similar to Stalking Jack the Ripper. It just fell flat for me, and the main character was really getting on my nerves, so there's no point in keeping those. Another book I actually despised is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Gilroy. A lot of people like this book. This was a 2018 release. I did find this at my thrift store, luckily enough, because I tried to read this book. Again, adult romances, not my thing, so I'm gonna give it away because someone else is going to enjoy this book so much more than I am. These books are all in mismatched order, so it's kind of hard to show you guys like series, but this is Crystal Kingdom by Amanda Hocking. This is the third book in the Frostfire series. You'll see the two other books, I don't want to read them, I don't care for them, and a lot of people have been saying meh things about this series. Fantasy series, again, I'm more of a contemporary reader. I did try to force myself to read fantasy, it's just not working out sometimes, so I want to cleanse my shelf and give more contemporary space on my shelf. We have Virals by Katie Reeks. I wanted to read this because she is the author of another series that was what inspired the TV series Bones, but this is just not cutting it for me. I'm very bored with this series, and there's a lot more to this. This is like a trilogy or like an entire series. I'm not sure how many there are in there, but I'm just not willing to invest my time in this series. The book that is a series which I was not aware of is Emancipated by MJ Reyes. This is a young adult book, kind of like a mystery contemporary kind of book with like murder, but I know there's more than one book and I really don't care for it enough to read this one and then purchase the next book. So again, we're giving it away. Sorry this is like going so quick. I'm not really giving descriptions of anything, but there's just so many. I don't want this unhaul to last like forever and a day. The next three books are again part of a series, and that is the Stolen Songbird series by Danielle L. Jensen. You guys let me know if you read this because I'm kind of unsure if I actually want to give this away or I want to give it a try. This is like a fantasy with goblins, I believe, and I was really excited at first, but like they've been sitting on my shelf for a really long time, so maybe this is more of a like in a maybe pile than I'm for sure giving away, because the more I think about it, the more I want to try to read them. So I'm really not sure. If anyone has read these books, please let me know if they're worth the read, because I feel like no one ever talks about these books, so it's kind of not motivating me to try to read them. Which is silly because usually hype kind of kills books, but I wish they were a little more hype so I had a little bit more motivation to read them. Again, please convince me not to give these away. We also have The Amateurs by Sarah Shepard. This is a book from the author of Pretty Little Liars. I forgot what this book is about. I think it's like a mystery, but again, it's a series, and I'm not willing to invest my time in a series like this. In 2019, I'm really trying to pick and choose the series I want to start, because I want to do series from start to finish and not like end a series halfway. So this, for me, is not worth my time. Again, it's probably a lot of people's like favorite book, or a lot of people enjoy this book, but I'm not willing to invest my time in this series at the moment. We also have Truth Witch and Wit Witch, because again, this series is longer than I expected it to be. At first I thought Truth Witch was like a duology, not a duology. I don't really care for this kind of stuff. Again, you can try to change my mind, but I really doubt that I'm going to love this. This is a kind of fantasy I'm really having a hard time getting into. The kind of fantasy I like is more of like Harry Potter style, or like Six of Crows, where it's more like character driven instead of like just world building and based on a magical system. I'm realizing I'm having a really hard time with that, so instead of like buying books in a series that I'm never really gonna read, I think I'm just going to try to find fantasy books that are more up my alley. If you guys have anything similar to Six of Crows or really good character driven fantasy books, please let me know, because that's really what I'm looking forward to reading, and not like really big fantasy books that are based off like high fantasy and these huge powers and huge like world building things that takes like 3 books to understand what's going on. It's just not my cup of tea. I also have Shiver and Forever by Maggie Stiefvater. This is like I think it's a werewolf series, but this series is actually pretty old, and a lot of people have been saying very like negative stuff about this. So again, got these at a thrift store. I don't really care if I don't read them. I feel like I'm not missing out on anything, and if ever, I can probably find them at a local library or buy them on ebook. I also have Burning by Elena K. Arnold. I read this. I just don't see myself reading it, and I own so many contemporary books that I don't really care for this one. This is like a small town boy, gypsy kind of story. It was okay, not my favorite, not something I really care to own, so we're moving it on to someone else. I also have Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I really don't like this book. I tried to read it like 7 times, never got into it. I don't know what all the hype is about, honestly. I just don't want it on my bookshelf anymore. I get annoyed when I look at it. This is like a multimedia format book. A lot of people like it. This is like a sci-fi book, and I just never really cared for anything about this book. I do like the writing though, but that's about it, and it's not enough for me to be redeeming enough for me to try to read it for like the 8th time. We also have Wild Mad by J.C. Yeager. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Again, I'm not sure about this one, but the premise just never really appeals to me. Every time I'm like, oh, I should try reading this, I'm like, ugh, like the premise makes me bored. So if you guys have read this, let me know. But I haven't heard many good things about it, and it's kind of like a book that's sitting on my bookshelf just to be sitting on my bookshelf, and that's not really fun, you know? We also have Ice Kissed, which is the 2nd book in the Frostfire series. I did Unhaul, the 3rd book, a few seconds ago, if you guys remember. This is the 2nd book, and these are all part of the Canaan Chronicles. I don't know how you pronounce this, but again, this is an older series. Don't really care for it. I also have Flat Out Sexy by Erin McCarthy. I kind of grew out of these books, like romance books that are just a little too cheesy for me now, and they make me cringe. So just like the cover, the story's kind of so I'm unhauling both of these. We have Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. I think she worked on Grey's Anatomy, but I just don't really feel I need this kind of self-help book in my life right now. This was my sister's actually, and she was like, oh, do you want it for your bookshelf? I said yes, but I actually want to say no, so Year of Yes is a no for me. Another self-help book my sister actually wanted me to keep on my bookshelf if I wanted to was Big Miracles, The 11 Spiritual Rules for Ultimate Success, which I'm not buying this. I don't like how this book is formatted. My sister didn't really enjoy it either, so this is just going to go to the thrift store where hopefully someone else can find some enlightening stuff in regards to this book, because for me, this was like a big no. Like, I have so many more valuable self-help books on my shelf, like Girl Wash Your Face, that this is just, it's not cutting it anymore, so we're moving it along. Again, with the cringy covers, we have Hard and Fast by Erin McCarthy. I think this is like a companion novel to the other book I just unhauled. Again, cringy cover, cringy story. No thank you. Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. We have Flame in the Mist because I did not order this cover. Again, Book Depository, so I did order the hardcover Flame in the Mist original cover, which I like so much more. So no need to have 2 books that are exactly the same, especially because I don't like these covers. I don't know why they did this cover switch, but I'm just not a fan. So again, someone else will probably be super excited to find this at the bookstore. The used bookstore, not the regular bookstore. I'm sorry guys, this video is a mess. This series, which is pretty new and popular, is The 1000th Floor by Katherine McGee, and I also have The Dazzling Heights. I tried to read this a few times when I was on vacation, and I hate this book. I hate the characters. I hate everything about this book, so there's no need to keep them because I'm never going to read them. They are very aesthetically pleasing though, I must admit. I think that's why I kept them so long, but I'm never ever gonna read them because I honestly hate everything about this book. The characters, where the plot was going, it's just a big no. We also have Gemini by Sonia Oh, I'm not even gonna try that last name. I basically bought this book because the premise sounded interesting until I realized it was about conjoined twins, and that kind of me, like, not in a disgusting way, because like that's super fascinating and I know it's situations for a lot of people, but I don't want to read about that for some reason. It's just not very appealing to me, so yeah, it's been sitting on my shelf for a very long time now. We also have Some Things Real by Heather Demetrios. This is like a reality TV kind of inspired book where our main character and her family have a reality TV show. I tried reading this again a few times, really did not like the characters, and I did not really appreciate the writing either in this book, which is unfortunate because I really love books that surround like reality TV and like that kind of dramatic aspect in books. But I've had this on my shelf ever since I started my booktube channel, and I tried rereading it a few times. Obviously it's not working out for me. We also have Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. I've heard so many problematic things about this book that I never actually opened and read this book because I heard so many things, and they're all things I'm very like about. Like, those things are so important to me, and the fact that this book goes against so many things and is so problematic, just for me it's not gonna work. And I think this is like a duology or a series, so I'm obviously not invested and not willing to give money to a story that has so many problematic elements in it. I have two Owl Crate books that I'm actually unhauling. One is Wild Beauty by Anne-Marie McLemore, and the other one is The Heart to be Sold by Emery Lord Jones. This one is about like a girl who sells her heart to the devil or something like that, but I really don't like the premise of this book, so I never even cared to pick it up. This one has a gorgeous cover, but it's just not the kind of thing I enjoy. Although the writing seems to be very nice, it's just not up my alley. I don't want it taking up space on my shelf when I know someone else is going to love this book and enjoy it. And it just, I don't like keeping stuff on my shelf when I know another reader that could like benefit from this book more than I am. And I know books are expensive sometimes, and a lot of people have less of a fortunate chance of getting books, which I just want to help these people out. I love donating books. I'm not trying to sell books because I feel like giving people the chance to read is really all that I love about this community. So when someone else can benefit from a book more than I will, or love a book more than I ever will or ever will care about, I mean, it has to be donated. Another graphic novel that I hate is Rivers of London by a bunch of authors, and this is like a graphic novel adaptation of an actual book, and this one is bodywork, and this is pitched as a blend of CSI and Harry Potter, both things I am madly in love with, none of which appear in this book. This was an absolute like fake pitch, because no, just no. It's not because a book has magical elements. Just hit myself in the face. Not because a book has magical elements that it's a Harry Potter, and not because you investigate things that it makes it CSI. Another book which I'm unhauling is Jersey Angel by Beth Ann Bowman. If you guys have seen my worst books of 2018, you would know this is on there. I am finally ready to let go of it. I'm done throwing it all the shade in the world, and it can move on to someone else. Hopefully it doesn't fall in the wrong hands though, because I wouldn't want a little girl to be negatively influenced by this book. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I would highly suggest going to watch my worst books of 2018, because first 1-star rating ever. Down to the final 4. I have Frostfire by Amanda Hocking. This is the book I was talking about previously when I mentioned Ice Kiss and Crystal Kingdom. Again, these covers are beautiful. It's a fantasy read. Maybe some people enjoy it. Not up my alley at all. Giving it away. I also have Book of Negroes by Lawrence Hill. This is an important story, but I feel like it's going to be easier for me to read it off an ebook or audiobook, because for some reason this is very intimidating to me, and I feel like reading it in another format could trick my brain into thinking that it's not actually this intimidating, because this is a very important part of history, so I do want to get to it, but maybe just not in this format. I also have Pushing the Limits by Katie McGuire. The reason I'm unhauling this is because I got the paperback editions, which I like a little bit better. So I just had the hardcover for the first one. I'm now collecting them in paperback. No use for this one. The Great Library by Rachel Kane. This again is a series which I was not aware about. And again, I'm not willing to dedicate my time to this series at the moment, and I'm sure somebody else will love this book so much more than I ever will, or will even want to pick it up, because I've had this on my shelf for what, like a year now, still not wanting to pick it up. Usually that's a sign. So that's it for my video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me if you guys have cleared your bookshelf, or if you're good with accumulating a bunch of books. I know I love collecting books, but sometimes it's just a little bit too much. So without more blabbering, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Happy reading!